The 1st Spahi Regiment is an armoured regiment of the modern French army, previously called the 1st Moroccan Spahi Regiment. It was established in 1914 as a mounted cavalry unit recruited primarily from indigenous Moroccan horsemen. The regiment saw service in both the First World War and the Second World War as part of the Forces Françaises Libres, as well as post-war service in the French-Indochina War and elsewhere. The modern regiment continues the traditions of all former Spahi regiments in the French Army of Africa. History. World War I. The Squadron Moroccan Spahis of the French Army were created in 1914 by General Louis Hubert Gonzalve Lyautey. The initial title of the regiment was that of. The French Army had raised 4 regiments of indigenous Spahi cavalry in both Algeria and Tunisia during the 19th century and extended this designation to the Moroccan mounted units recruited after 1908. The 1st Marching Moroccan Spahi Regiment participated actively to the First Battle of the Marne. Sent to the Orient Front, the regiment illustrated capability at Pogradec, Scumbi, both near Uskub and on the Danube. The regiment was accordingly 5 citations at the orders of the armed forces and the fourragère with colours bearing the médaille militaire. Interwar period. The regiment was redesignated as the 21st Moroccan Spahi Regiment in 1921 and took part to the campaigns in the Levant from 1920 to 1927. Accordingly, the regiment was awarded 3 additional citations at the orders of the armed forces and the fourragère with colours of the Croix de Guerre des Têtes d'Opérations Extérieures. In 1929, the regiment was designated as the 1st Moroccan Spahi Regiment. World War II. On July 1, 1940, Captain Paul Jerdia, who commanded the 1st Squadron of the 1st Moroccan Spahi Regiment 1 ERSM, decided to pursue combats and join British forces in Palestine. At the occasion of a maneuver in the south of Lebanon, Paul succeeded in training a small contingent of half of his squadron, reinforced by a couple of isolated elements that crossed the borders between Lebanon and Palestine, and from volunteers from London. The squadron mounted campaigns in Eritrea, where the squadron would horse-mount cavalry charges at Umbrega under the order of Captain Paul Jerdia. Making way back to Syria, contingents engaged on trucks along with the 1st Free French Brigade. Other squadrons were created and formed together 1 then 2 Army Corps reconnaissance groups commanded by Gerida and Robert de Kersauzon, reinforced by a company of the 501e Regiment de Chars de Combat of the Free French. The second group constituted the Free French Flying Column, a flying column which participated to the Battle of El Alamein, then all the way to Tunisia. Initially at the corps of the British 8th Army, then in 1943 at the corps force of General Philippe Leclerc de Hauteclere. On September 25, 1942, the 2 groups were merged at the corps of the 1st Marching Moroccan Spahi Regiment, placed under the orders of Jean-Pierre Coutem, becoming a reconnaissance regiment of the 2nd Armoured Division 2 EDB. The 1st Marching Moroccan Spahi Regiment 1 ERMSM participated in the liberation and endured heavy losses in the various leading groupments in France and Germany. As to the original 1 ERSM, and after having mounted horse combats in Syria, the Vichy Regiment was motorized in Morocco in 1943 and took part in the battles of Royan, France in 1945. The regiment was dissolved and merged with the 8th Dragoon Regiment. Decorations. The 1st Marching Moroccan Spahi Regiment 1 RMSM was awarded as a Compagnon de la Libération by decree of August 7, 1945 and cited twice at the orders of the armed forces. Regimental Colors. The regimental colors of the 1 ERMSM include in golden letters the following inscriptions in the folds: Eritrea 1941. El Alamein 1942, Tunisia 1943, Paris 1944, Strasbourg 1944. Between 1944 and 1945, at the core of the 2EDB, the 1ERMSM endured the loss of 184 men, out of which 12.5% were Moroccans. Post-war, 1945–62, one squadron of the 1st RSM served in the First Indochina War, between 1945 and October 1946. During the post-war era, the regiment underwent several changes in title, as well as being transferred between a number of different garrisons. In 1947, the regiment was designated as the 1st Regiment of Moroccan Spahis, a title it retained during its service in Morocco. In 1956, the 1st RSM was transferred to Algeria. The regiment was then redesignated as the 1st Regiment of Spahis. In October 1958, its title was again changed to the 21st Regiment of Spahis, in order to avoid confusion with the 1st Regiment of Algerian Spahis. Modern. The 1st Spahi Regiment continued in the French army after the end of the Algerian War in 1962. Although most of the other units of the former Army d'Afrique were disbanded, reportedly one of General Charles de Gaulle's ministers urged that the 1st RSM be retained in service because of its distinguished role in the Free French forces during World War II. De Gaulle responded, "On ne décide pas un compagnon de la libération." In 1961, the regiment was transferred to Speyer, Germany, as part of the French Forces of Germany. Its role was that of a reconnaissance regiment of the 2nd Army Corps 2ECA. In 1965, following the dissolution of the 1st Regiment of Algerian Spahis, the regiment was given its present-day title of the 1st Spahi Regiment. In 1984, the regiment was transferred from Germany and the FFA to be incorporated in the 6th Light Armored Division 6 EDLB and garrisoned in Valence. The regiment participated in Operation Daguet during 1991, as part of the French contingent in the Gulf War. In 2009, the regiment left the 6th Light Armored Brigade 6 EBLB and joined the 1st Mechanized Brigade. On August 1, 2015, the regiment was reintegrated in the 6th Light Armored Brigade. The regiment's armored vehicle corps consists of 48 AMX, 90 VAB and 110 trucks. The regiment trains new recruits at headquarters, including armored vehicle crewmen and various mechanical trades, as well as musicians and non-commissioned officers. The most decorated unit of the modern armored arms and armored cavalry branch of the French army, the regiment carries 14 battle honors on its colors. Organization: Escadron de Commandement et de Logistique, Command and Logistics Squadron. Escadron d'Administration et de Soutien, Administration and AMP, Support Squadron. 1E Escadron 1st Squadron, 2E Escadron 2nd Squadron, 3E Escadron 3rd Squadron, 4E Escadron 4th Squadron, 5E Escadron. Escadron d'Instruction, Instruction Squadron. Traditions. Insignia. As mounted cavalry, the North African personnel of the regiment wore high turbans, red jackets, wide blue-grey trousers and a white burnous. A dark blue overcloak with hood was worn over the burnous, to distinguish the Moroccan Spahis from the red-cloaked Algerian and Tunisian counterparts. After mechanization, features such as the double burnous, cloak and red sash of the historical Spahi uniform were retained and are still worn by the modern regiment on parade. The regimental insignia is a combination of the Cross of Lorraine with the Sharifian pentagram from the flag of Morocco. Regimental colors. Regimental song decorations. The regimental colors of the 1st Spahi Regiment is decorated with Croix de la Libération, Croix de Guerre 1914–1918 with 5 Palms Croix de Guerre 1939–1945 with 2 Palms Croix de Guerre des Têtes d'Opérations Extérieures with 4 Palms Croix de la Valeur Militaire with 1 Bronze Star, Mérite Militaire Cherifin, Military Sherifian Medal, Medaille de la Braverie Serbie, Medal of Serbian Bravery, Order Serbie de Courage de Fourri Rang avec Glaves, Serbian Order of Courage 4th Order, Croix de Guerre Serbie avec une citation à l'Ordre de l'Armée Acute Order Romain de Saint-Michel, Serbian Croix de Guerre with citation at the Orders, Romanian Order Army of St. Michael American U.S. Presidential Unit citation. Fourragère with colors of the Croix de Guerre des Têtes d'Opérations Extérieures, colors of the Croix de la Libération since June 18, 1996. Honors. Battle Honors Le Mans 1914. Pogradec 1917. Scumby 1917. Bofnia 1918. Uskub 1918. Danube 1918. Levant 1920–1927. Erythrae 1941. El Alamein 1942. Tunisie 1943. Paris 1944. Strasbourg 1944. AFN 1952–1962. Kavite 1991–1991. Regimental Commanders, 1st Spahi Regiment, Gallery.